Am I the a-hole for being such a B to my dad's wife after my mom died? My 17 female parents got divorced 6 years ago because my dad was cheating. His wife, Hazel, worked with my mom and knew us, so the breakup was bad. My brother, 19 male, and I didn't think much of our dad after finding out what he did, and our relationship with him was never the same. We never liked his wife, and over time, I grew to hate her. She expected things to be okay, and of course they weren't. I don't know why she thought my brother and I would like her, or why she thought my mom would care about what happened to her. Things got even nastier when the divorce was finalized, and my dad married Hazel. She was pregnant but miscarried a few days before the wedding. She called my mom to ask her to take us to the hospital to see her, and my mom said no. Hazel cried over the phone to my mom, talking about her miscarriage and how she needed her family around her for support. My mom told her she had no compassion for the woman who broke up her marriage. Hazel then called my mom again, claiming my mom set a bad example and asking her to think about the sibling my brother and I lost. My mom told her she was glad it happened because we wouldn't have to deal with a half-sibling from her and dad since they were both cheating sluts. I think she said sluts, but I couldn't hear everything. Hazel went nuts and never forgot what my mom said. Once I was old enough, I stopped going to my dad's house too and ignored any contact from Hazel. I only spoke to my dad occasionally, so my mom wouldn't get in trouble for not encouraging contact. Hazel, however, would sometimes show up when my dad did and would act hostile toward my mom, expecting us to side with her. My mom was diagnosed with cancer in January and passed away 3 weeks ago. My brother and I were with her when she passed. Dad came over when he heard and insisted we go to his house, even though we didn't want to. Hazel was there waiting and tried to hug us, but we shut her down. My brother and I were crying, and I asked my brother how we were supposed to deal with all this. Dad said he was there for us and that we needed to lean on him. Then Hazel said that bad influence is finally out of our lives, and now we can work on building relationships with each other. My brother cursed at her and told her to shut up. Hazel responded that our mom was to blame for how we acted and said it was sad we didn't see her for the disgusting POS she was. She even brought up the phone call years ago and said I heard what my mom told her, yet I still chose my mom. I told her she was twisted for thinking I'd ever choose my dad's mistress over my mom. I also said she was a disgusting, nasty person and deserved everything my mom had said to her and more. Hazel lost it, and my brother took me to our grandparents' house. Dad tried to stop us from leaving and begged me to come back, but I said no. We've stayed with our grandparents since. My brother and I have shut Dad out completely and didn't tell him anything about the funeral, even though he asked. Hazel has tried reaching out to me, but I ignored her. Now both Dad and Hazel are texting me, saying I need to apologize for being so awful to her because it's not her fault mom died. Am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. Hazel really said, I broke up your family, disrespected your mom, and now I'm the victim? Girl, what? The audacity is on sale and she bought the whole shelf. You don't owe her a single apology. She's been messy since day one. Keep chilling with your grandparents and brother. That's the real support squad. You forgot the fact that she was happy about their mom dying and said it out loud in front of OP, her brother, and dad. Dad didn't even have the spine to stand up to her after her horrible comments. Right after her mom died. I just lost my mom. If someone said that to me, I would go supernova. Block Hazel and your father and stop picking up their calls. You're not the a-hole. You and your brother only have each other right now, along with your grandparents. You need to mourn your loss. Losing your mother is a debilitating and tragic loss that you will carry for the rest of your lives. You are almost 18 and becoming an adult. Tell Hazel that you will get a protection order and charge her with harassment if she keeps up with her nonsense. Condolences to you and your brother for your loss. Hazel is nobody to you, your brother, or your family. You need to find a way to mourn your mother and ensure you and your brother receive her Social Security survivor benefits and any life insurance benefits. You are both almost adult beneficiaries. If your mother had a will before her passing, make sure it is executed. Get professional help and consult a lawyer to assist you and your brother in securing your mother's assets from her marriage. Again, you are not the a-hole, and my condolences to you and your brother for your loss. OP, please get a lawyer and ensure your mother's estate is settled. I'm so deeply sorry you have to navigate this loss at such a young age. Please get a good lawyer to review everything and make sure you and your brother are taken care of. It wouldn't shock me if your dad and Hazel try to swoop in to help take care of the assets. Again, I am so sorry for your loss. Just keep moving forward through the pain. I'd also recommend speaking with a therapist to help you as you go through the stages of grief. Sending you and your brother love. Next story. Am I the a-hole for not paying to take my son's girlfriend on vacation? I have two sons, 22 and 23. They both have serious girlfriends they have been dating for over 2 years. Jordan's girlfriend is an amazing young lady. She has a great head on her shoulders, is sweet, smart, polite, good to my parents, responsible, and balances my son perfectly. They make a great team. Tyler's girlfriend, on the other hand, is selfish, entitled, manipulative, and dislikes our family. She scares me and the rest of the family and friends with her behavior. Both of my sons are in love and plan to marry these young ladies. I was divorced when both boys were in diapers, so it has been the three of us for years. We are very close. We have always traveled together. Jordan's girlfriend has been on 2 trips with us that I paid for. A trip to Vegas for Jordan's 21st and a charity boat poker run on Lake Michigan. Both of these trips involved bars, so Tyler's girlfriend, who was 20 at the time, was not invited. She became angry that she wasn't included. My husband of 2 years and I own a vacation home on a lake. My husband planned a guy's trip for 1 week. Tyler's girlfriend got irate because she wanted to use the house that same week, the week before she turned to college. Tyler has now informed me that his girlfriend must be invited on all trips and I will be expected to pay for her or he won't come. My husband has said she is not welcome at the vacation house until she stops acting so entitled. We were planning a family vacation to the Bahamas for Christmas. Per Jordan's request, I canceled the family trip, upgraded my husband and me to first class in a suite, and decided we'd enjoy the trip without them. Jordan thought the family trip would be miserable with Tyler's girlfriend there and wanted me to have a good time. Now Tyler and his girlfriend are furious. Am I the a-hole for not paying to take my future daughter-in-law on vacation? Not the a-hole. This isn't about playing favorites. It's about respecting boundaries and behavior. You're not the a-hole. You're not obligated to pay for anyone's vacation. Jordan's girlfriend has shown kindness, responsibility, and appreciation, so including her on trips feels natural. Tyler's girlfriend, on the other hand, has been manipulative and demanding. It's not unreasonable to say no to someone who behaves that way. Honestly, if someone demands to be included or throws a fit when they're not, that's on them. Tyler's ultimatum says more about him than you. He's free to skip trips, but you're free to set the terms for your own vacations. He can make his own decisions, but he doesn't get to dictate yours, and you shouldn't be guilted into funding someone who doesn't even respect you. Amazing on Jordan for pushing to have you enjoy that trip and having the wherewithal to see the obvious problem. No comments other than the entitled girl is so out of touch with reality, it's terrifying. Jordan's response says a lot about his character too. He clearly values family and recognizes what's best for everyone involved. It's a shame Tyler is prioritizing his girlfriend's tantrums over family dynamics. Setting boundaries is essential for long-term harmony. Not the a-hole. She's not even family yet, and she's already acting like this? Lol. You're not obligated to fund her vacations, especially when she's being so disrespectful to you and your husband. Tyler needs to wake up and realize this is not normal or acceptable behavior from a partner. You did the right thing by setting boundaries. Enjoy that first-class suite. The fact that those kids just expect her to pay is baffling, and they threaten they won't come otherwise. Plus, she wanted to use a house she doesn't own. What a joke. I would have said, I guess we won't be vacationing together then. Next story. Am I the a-hole for telling my mom's boyfriend his kids will never be family? Roughly more than a year ago, my mother introduced me to her boyfriend. Since then, my 3 siblings have been introduced to his 3 kids, and our families have been merged. Although we still live in separate homes, his family is over at our house all the time. It's very obvious that he is purposely leaving me and my older siblings out of the family plans. Last year, during Thanksgiving, I was informed only 3 days beforehand that all of his kids, including his adult child, my 2 younger siblings, and my mother were going to visit our grandparents 6 states away. My older sibling and I were blindsided. We didn't have enough time to pull together funds or arrange time off to join them. When we brought this up to our mom, she simply said, "I guess you can join us next time," and added that she thought we already knew. This left me and my sibling alone for a week during Thanksgiving. We each ended up going to separate family members' houses who we don't see often. Both of us were deeply hurt by this incident, and it made us reflect on how many family trips they've had without inviting us or telling us until the day off. We kept our mouths shut until now. With Christmas approaching, we were worried they'd pull the same stunt again. Thankfully, they didn't, but we were told to make sure we got his kids gifts because they're now our siblings. Having to buy gifts for 3 people we aren't even close to really sucked, but my sibling and I begrudgingly did so. Today, I found out that his kids weren't getting any gifts from my siblings, not even the adult child, despite them all having jobs. This really ticked me off, and I ended up lashing out at both my mom and her boyfriend. I told him I didn't care about him or his kids, and that if he wants to play family, he's doing a terrible job acting like a father. He retorted that he doesn't need to share his life with adult kids, and that, to him, we're just part of my mom's past. I'll admit I got nasty after that. I told him his kids were baggage and that my mom didn't need more children to deal with. I said I'd never look at his spoiled brats as family. My mom started crying and her boyfriend screamed at me to leave. So I did. I'm currently staying at a friend's place, but I'm wondering if I went too far. I don't care if I was an a-hole to her boyfriend, I already know that part. But was I an a-hole to my mom? I just want her to remember she still has 2 kids who see her as their mother, and she can't just forget about us because her boyfriend won't acknowledge us. Edit. I'm 20 and my older sibling is 17. I only referred to them as older because they're older than my 2 younger siblings, who are both under 10. I pay half the rent and household expenses at my mom's house, and without my contributions, we wouldn't have a roof over our heads, as I'm sure everyone knows how expensive it is to live independently right now, let alone with 3 kids. I plan to go back home and understand that her boyfriend can't kick me out of the house where my name is on the lease. For now, I'm cooling off. I just wanted to clarify some things for everyone. Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole, but your mom needs a reality check. Me and my sibling were blindsided as we didn't have enough time to pull together funds or time off to join them. We brought this up to our mom, and she simply said she guesses we can join the next time and she thought we knew. That left us alone for a week during Thanksgiving. Your mom is being pretty cold heartless here. My sibling and I begrudgingly did so. We don't remember how it got brought up today, but I found out his kids weren't getting any of my siblings' gifts. Not even the adult despite them all having jobs. If you're a grown man who's married to someone with children from another relationship, why are they expecting her to spend money on your kids? Are there no other options than for her or him? This really ticked me off and I ended up lashing out on both of them, specifically my mother's boyfriend. I told him that I don't care about him or his kids, but if he wants to play family, he's doing a terrible job acting like a father. You are absolutely right in your assessment here. You have every right to be angry and upset. Your mom has abandoned her children for this man who doesn't even acknowledge them as such? Yep, you pay half the rent and bills, and this dude comes and stays at your house with his children all the time. Then he has the audacity to yell at you to leave a house you pay for? Nope, shut that down right now. Firstly, if he and his kids are there, they need to be paying their share. Secondly, he needs a reminder of whose name is on the lease and who's paying the rent. You need to have a serious sit-down conversation with your mom. There's no way it's fair for you to be financially contributing this much and then being treated like you don't matter. Your mom needs to be reminded that her children should be her priority, not some entitled guy she's dating. Last story. Am I the a-hole for confusing my baby sister into believing I'm her mom? I'm 16 female and my dad passed away last year. My parents were divorced before that and they used to split custody. My mom has been remarried to my stepdad for years. My baby sister turned 1 a couple of days ago and my mom is 5 months pregnant with a baby boy. I guess the problem started when my sister began teething. It was at the beginning of summer break and my mom would just let her cry it out alone in her nursery. My sister is loud. Not only was it annoying, but it was also kind of sad because she's just a baby going through pain alone. So I started picking her up and trying to soothe her. Being held and chewing on her fingers seemed to help. And after seeing a TikTok of a teething baby using a cucumber, I tried that too. It worked like magic. I thought babies only teeth once, but I was so wrong. It became a routine for me to take care of her a lot. Mom didn't seem to care as long as she wasn't crying, and I actually liked hanging out with her. It wasn't 24/7 obviously. I had a part-time job and friends, but whenever I came home, she would practically leap out of mom or stepdad's arms to come to me. She also started fuzzing a lot whenever mom tried to put her to sleep, kicking and crying, but she didn't do that to me. With me, she just cuddles up to my chest and falls asleep. I thought this was just normal baby behavior, but my mom was fuming after my sister's birthday party. My sister wouldn't let mom hold her for pictures or during the cake cutting. Then my grandma made a comment about my sister and me being like Siamese twins, which I took as us just being close. I didn't think it was a big deal. My mom was clearly upset though, and after the party, she told me I'm confusing my sister into thinking I'm her mom, and that I need to take a step back. But what am I supposed to do? Ignore her when she cries or babbles for me? It's not like I push my mom out of the way to get to her. Usually, mom is napping or in the bathroom, and I just don't want my sister crying her lungs out. Not the a-hole. Your sister prefers you over your mother because your mother has failed her as a parent. From the sounds of it, you're the only one who comforts her when she cries, shows her affection, gives her your time, and cares for her needs beyond the basics. Your mother is a bad parent. Who leaves a baby to scream and cry and thinks that's okay? If she wants to throw a hissy fit over the fact that her teenager is a more attentive parent than her, let her. Keep doing what you're doing because you're helping your sister more than you realize. I just want to clarify that she doesn't ignore her. But when my sister was teething, she said there's nothing she can do for her anyway, because it's something all babies go through. Yes, all babies go through it. That's why we have hundreds of ways to manage it. Parents have been soothing their children through teething for as long as humans have had teeth. Even if you can't stop the pain, the comfort of someone being there and paying attention helps. Your mother was seriously harming your sister emotionally by ignoring her. Not the a-hole. When I was younger, my mom would lock me in my room thinking it would make me go to sleep. It didn't. It traumatized me. I hate the dark and being alone, and she didn't care. She neglected and abused me throughout my childhood. And only now in my teens am I realizing how horrible she really was. She calls it rebelling when I don't want her near me. Please try to get out of that toxic environment, like I'm trying to do. No mother should feel jealous of her daughter for being a better parent than her. Am I the a-hole for requiring my son and his wife sign a contract before I give the stepchildren college money? I, 56 male, have 3 children. Sam, 32 male, Eve, 30 female, and Amy, 28 female. Sam and Eve are married with children, and my wife and I started college funds for them that we put money in at least twice a year. Sam married a woman, Jane, 36 female, who already had 2 children from a previous relationship. And we have accepted them as part of the family once they proved that they were serious. My wife and I invite them over, give them presents, attend after-school activities, occasionally babysit, and don't mind that they call us grandpa and grandma. During our first in-person family get-together since COVID, my wife and our children and their children came over along with my sister-in-law and her family. It was especially nice because this was the first time that we were meeting sister-in-law's first grandchild. A sweet baby girl who's 8 months old.
The topic of saving up for college came up, and my wife casually mentioned about how we started up college funds for all 3 grandchildren. Sam's wife overheard and walked in laughing to say, "You mean 5. Not wanting to cause any future problems through miscommunication, I corrected and explained things to Jane. She didn't seem upset at the time, but after everyone had left, Sam called and said how upset he and Jane were that we didn't start up funds for Sam's stepchildren. I told him that it was our money, and we could do whatever we wanted with it, and to think of it as a way to focus any money that they would have put towards his biological child to just give to the stepchildren. I thought that my reasoning was logical, and thought that my son agreed when he stopped talking about it. Again, we were called about the lack of funding for the stepchildren, and Jane wanted to know why we weren't treating them equally. I calmly explained that in almost every other way, we do treat the kids like our other grandchildren, but their ties to us are only there through marriage. And if Sam and Jane were to divorce, then they may not be our grandchildren anymore. Jane was really hurt by this, and asked me if that meant that her kids wouldn't inherit anything once my wife and I were gone. I felt very offended because that was a personal question, but answered yes. If Jane and Sam were still married by the time we died, her kids would get something. But if she wanted it to be an equal share as to start a college fund for the first 2 kids, then she and Sam would need to sign an agreement stating that they would never divorce. Jane got offended, and I asked her why she would be if she truly loves my son and never intends to divorce him. My other children agree that signing an agreement wouldn't be a big deal, but Sam is upset too. Am I the a-hole? Edited to add, because I know that this might come up. I am aware that blood ties aren't always what makes people family, and as far as I know, Sam hasn't legally adopted Jane's first 2 children. Also, when the college funds were mentioned, we were out of earshot from all the children, so the only way Jane's kids would find out is if an adult tells them. Edited to add too. 1, because I keep seeing this. No, this agreement wouldn't be to keep them from getting a divorce. That's ridiculous. It would be in regards to both my son and Jane paying back any of the college fund money that the stepkids use. 2, yes, my wife and I are more well off than Jane's parents. So if they are starting a college fund, I don't expect it to be as much as we could contribute. 3, no, I don't know about the stepkids' biological paternal side, as they live elsewhere, and my wife and I have no reason to be in communication with them. I can only ever think of one time that I've actually seen them in person. Edited to add 3, another one because I'm still getting the same thing, so I'll explain my reasoning a bit more. No matter what happens with my children's marriages, their children will always be my grandchildren from both a legal and biological standpoint. The same can't be said for Jane's kids, because what happens if she and my son divorce and each of them remarry? Am I supposed to still give her first 2 children an equal amount as everyone else? Also, what if Sam marries another woman with kids, and I'm expected to be just as financially responsible for them as the others? Where does it end? Also, that means that there will be less money all around, and I don't want to do that. Now for the top comments. Not a day-haul, assuming that the contract doesn't prevent them from divorcing. Please be clear in your language when talking about contracts. However, I would change the phrasing of the contract to indicate enforceable conditions. Answering as someone who has read a lot of family law cases with a lot of drama worse than this. 1. If she really doesn't have any plans to divorce your son anyway, why can't she sign a contract? Because she wants the privileges with no strings attached. 2. Primarily, it is the parents' responsibility to provide support for their stepchildren, not the responsibility as a grandparent. It is easy for them to use guilt and make you give money when it doesn't involve any sacrifice on their part. Why can't your son and his wife provide for the education for the stepchildren? Why can't your son give up his inheritance if the college fund is so important? 3. It is your son's decision to accept them as stepchildren, and you are merely respecting and agreeing with this decision. Your relation to them is a mere side effect, not your direct, independent, personal decision. 4. Legally, his stepchildren can still indirectly inherit through him anyway. 5. Legally, the stepchildren can claim support from their biological dad, depending on the country's law and the facts surrounding the situation. 6. Your money, your decision. You are already treating/seeing your son's stepchildren as equal to your biological children, but it doesn't mean you have to give them a lot of money conditionally. your relation to them will be severed the moment your son and his wife divorce. 7. My spidey senses tell me that his wife has a sense of entitlement. Also, please look into trust administrators for your bio grandkids' money. There have been enough posts here to anticipate Sam and Jane pressuring Sam's bio kids to share their money with the stepkids. Damn straight. You know that will happen already. I could see the piece of work daughter-in-law pressuring Sam's siblings to pool their kids' money together with theirs for the stepkids. Not today, Hall. My aunts and uncles went through a number of marriages when I was a kid, often with stepchildren. Despite how much the then-married couples claimed their love was forever, the majority of those marriages didn't last until the kids reached adulthood, much less finished college. When it comes to people, I'm only connected to via someone else's marriage. I'm aware that I may not be connected to them for long. I agree. The son and wife have every right to feel the way they do, but this grandparent also has every right to save/use their money in what they feel is the best thing. I wouldn't expect my step-parents or their parents to save money for me, even though I came into their life when I was young. Yes, they treat me like their other grandchildren, but I know that if my parents/step-parents were to divorce, it'd cause a shift in our relationship with the extended family. I don't think Opie's the a-hole. I don't really see how it's the grandparents' responsibility to save college money for the grandkids. It should be the parents, so it's a nice thing you're doing. They should be grateful. This Jane seems very entitled, and you should stand your ground because divorces are too likely to happen. Now for the next story. Am I the a-hole for telling my brother my stepdad's not my dad? My dad was in my life until he died when I, male 16, was 7. My mom was already married to my stepdad AJ by then, and my brother was barely 1 year old. I never considered AJ anything than just my brother's dad. For a long time, my mom kept trying to make me call him dad because my brother copied everything I do, and he started calling his dad AJ too. But he grew out of that and just calls him dad now. I can tell AJ don't like that we don't have that kind of relationship, and been in family therapy before. The therapist basically told them to give me my space and I shouldn't be pressured. So they dropped the sessions. Lol. I don't know why out of the blue my brother randomly asked me a few days ago, how come I always called dad AJ? And I told him because AJ is not my real dad. He never asked this before, so it caught me by surprise. My brother told me I'm lying. How could he not be my dad? And I told him my real dad died when I was little, so that's how AJ isn't my dad. But then he asked if that means we're not brothers. And I told him we are because we have the same mom. He just had a million questions about my dad after that, so I told him what I remember. But my mom got mad at me for telling him that AJ is not my real dad, and making it seem like I don't consider him family, and that I just confused my brother about our family. I don't know why, but now AJ is ignoring me when I'm in the room, and it gets awkward when my brother asks more questions about my dad in front of them. Was I Nahal for telling him the truth? Not today, Hal. Your mom shouldn't hide the truth about your real dad. Just disrespectful to his life. Your brother will understand and love you all the same. Yeah, my brother hasn't acted different. Just ask more random questions about him sometimes. He asked, you answered. Your mom and AJ should have known that would happen someday. It's not a bad thing that he knows that he's asking questions so that it will all make sense to him. Not today, Hal. Not today, Hal. Your mom is trying to force a relationship. You're right, AJ isn't your dad, and you don't have to call him such. It sounds like you have a cordial relationship. Your mom is just mad she has to do the labor of facilitating a blended family, which is her job, so tough luck to her. You're 16, not 6 months. You get to decide who you feel familial towards. And trying to erase Opie's dad's memory. That is so unbelievably crappy. Not today, Hal, completely. Your brother is still young and doesn't understand how having a step-family works yet. So in the words of r/, I will give you 5 over 5 buttholes for telling him something that most likely will change his outlook on life forever. Let me explain why you aren't the a-hole and shouldn't feel like one. 1. Your brother was going to learn anyway. 2. You don't feel comfortable calling AJ your dad because he technically isn't, and you don't have that bond with him. Your mom needs to understand that. 3. AJ ignoring you means that he's hurt, but more butthurt that you aren't doing things the way he wants. Your younger brother did nothing wrong and was just curious, and you answered his question. Next story is titled, Am I the a-hole for insulting my brother as a parent after his repeated suggestions about leaving my wife? Over a year and a half ago, my wife was in a serious car accident that's changed our lives. She suffered serious injuries and she almost didn't make it. By some miracle, she pulled through, but now she's permanently paralyzed from the waist down. We had a 5-month-old baby girl, and I'm not going to lie, it was a major challenge for us both settling into our new lives and managing parenthood. I was the one doing most of the childcare while my wife recovered. My family has been very supportive and lending a helping hand every now and then. My brother, not so much, but then again, we're not that close. Over the past year when we'd talk, he'd say things like, "Man, I don't know how you have the patience for her anymore. Just leave already." Or make comments about my wife being kind of selfish for not at least suggesting I be allowed to see other people given that we won't be intimate anymore. Completely untrue, but not really his business. My family and myself have berated him for talking that way, and I've told him to watch what he says. None of this was ever said in front of my wife, but it still bothered me. Recently, I was talking with my parents and brother on Zoom. My daughter has been having trouble sleeping, so I've been quite tired. My brother again ran his mouth. He doesn't understand why I'm still bothering with her when she's no longer doing me any good, and offered to give me his divorce attorney's information because I obviously didn't sign up to be my wife's babysitter on top of parenting. This irked me because 1, my wife has been perfectly capable of taking care of herself. Obviously, she still needs assistance sometimes, and I help her. And 2, I still love my wife very much, and not going to leave her because it's no longer beneficial, as he puts it. And I told him as such. I also brought up that, unlike him, I don't dip out when there's trouble and shirk my responsibilities. That upset him too, so he ended a call. I brought this up because my brother divorced his wife, and since then he only sees my niece, his daughter, whenever he feels like it, which is rare. My parents have scolded me for stooping to his level. My brother also says I'm a prick when he's just thinking about my best interest, and that's no reason to drag him. I'll admit I was pretty pissed off in the moment. So maybe I was an a-hole? Now for the comments. Not an a-hole. Your brother needs to mind his own business, and I'm shocked that your parents are scolding you. Good luck to you and your wife with everything. You sound like a good husband. I think because everyone in my family is used to my brother and his unfiltered opinions, and it's just him being his usual self. Well, sounds like his usual self is an a-hole. It's good that you stood up to him. Someone clearly needed to. It almost sounds like your brother has the opinion your wife can't be intimate with you, whether it's true or not, and so she's not worth the time anymore? This just screams what kind of person he is, to be honest. Also, doesn't marriage vows usually say something about in sickness and in health? So when he callously said you didn't sign up for this, he's not even right anyway. Not a hole. And thank you for taking your marriage and wife seriously. Many people would unfortunately have the opinion your brother does, and those people are a-holes. That's been a major factor in why he thinks I should leave her or feels I should at least be allowed to have fun on the side. I don't imagine ever leaving my wife, much less over something like this. Was it hard? Yes. Did I have my own moments where I felt completely broken down because it was all too overwhelming? Absolutely. But we've made it out stronger. And it just felt like he was disrespecting how far we've come by acting like she's been nothing but a chore. Last story. Am I the a-hole for not leaving work to bring my pregnant wife a change of shoes? My 30 male wife, Charlotte, 38 female, is a very senior corporate lawyer and works in the city. She's mostly been working from home due to events, but recently they've started to return to the office. Charlotte is also 5 months pregnant. Charlotte wears heels pretty much everywhere that isn't home or the gym. I always suggest she take a spare pair of flats, but she always refuses. She says it's a matter of pride. She's gotten to a point in the pregnancy where her feet are starting to swell, so it's becoming increasingly uncomfortable wearing her shoes. However, she has still refused to take flats with her. I work in construction, and my current site is about an hour away from Charlotte's office. I got a call from her yesterday. She said that her feet were in agony, and she didn't think she would be able to walk to the train station and go on the train home in her heels. She wanted me to find a shoe shop and buy a cheap pair of trainers or flip-flops, or alternatively, bring my trainers. I normally wear trainers to work and then change into my work boots, so she could wear them home. The problem was that my shift didn't end for another couple of hours after she finished work. I asked my boss if I could leave to help my wife, but he refused as there is a lot of work to do. I asked Charlotte if she'd be willing to wait at the office for me, but she said she didn't want to. When I got home, I found Charlotte curled up sobbing. She said she forced herself to get home in heels and that her feet were in pain. She's upset with me because she thinks I should have insisted on leaving so I could help her. Seeing how upset she was, I tried to hug her, but she wanted me to go away. I genuinely feel awful about her being in so much pain. I'm almost in tears about it myself, but there wasn't much I could have done. I couldn't exactly tell my boss I was leaving whether he liked it or not. I offered her to wait for me to finish, but she refused. Am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. As a heel wearer, you always have a backup pair of shoes at work. How ridiculous. She's a hotshot lawyer. Shouldn't these problem-solving skills be her jam? I understand she's pregnant and hormonal, etc., but my blood boils after reading this post. She's asking her working husband to get her shoes so she can go home? What happened to being a strong, independent woman? Edited to add, not the halopi. I am a woman who has been pregnant and also have been in sticky situation where I had to put on my big girl pants and solve things without my husband's help. I've heard of some people, who probably have money to burn, who Uber Eats frivolous items like beauty blenders. So, just an expensive hack for anyone who's in a pinch. Not the a-hole. Your wife is an adult. She should have realized by now that she can't wear the heels all the time. I'm not pregnant, and in the before times, I carried a pair of trainers to change into after office hours. I'm not even sure how your wife is planning to handle the day that heels have so damaged her feet and ankles she can't wear them at all. As a retired professional female office worker who had no idea what I'd be doing in the course of a day, what I kept at my office: heels, steel toe boots, tennis shoes, trainers, house shoes, rain boots for rain/mud, flats, casual and dress, extra pantyhose, stockings, and lots of extra socks, also changes of clothing. I agree with above poster. She may be pregnant, but she was a grown woman first and should know to be prepared. Clearest not the a-hole of the week. You told her to carry spare shoes. You try to get off of work. She may be hormonal, but that's no excuse to be an a-hole.